So thank you all for sticking with us. I want to spend the last half hour just getting deeper into some of the terms on our website, which are kind of our best current attempt to describe how we actually work together, what's our vision, and what kind of ideas we feel vocal improvisation, collective vocal improvisation, collective decision making represent. So I'll start by reading the first one slowly, just giving you some time to, yeah, ingest it. I'll also paste it in the chat and then maybe say something about it or ask Ron or Emma. So, first one, collaborative emergence, a group creative process in which all voices are valued and contribute to the shared outcome. There is no defined endpoint. Anything could unfold, and the collective vision is discovered together. No one is in charge, and the interactions between the group members are as significant in the group creation as the contributions from each individual. Okay, let me paste that in the chat. I feel for me, collective emergence feels most present where we actually sing together, that sense of group collective flow. That's what collective emergence is to me. So this translation of it into meeting notes and decision making, on one hand, it's you cannot really avoid it. I think if you live with improvisation and if you do it for long enough and if you do enough of it, I think it seeps into all aspects of your life, right? So you change, your relationships change, the way you communicate changes. So I think sometimes it's just interesting to consider what words we find useful and why, and how we can even talk about our work, right? That it's not just a musical. So I think this is a lovely description of the relational and something that it's really can be cherished and protected and promoted rather than the existing structures which a lot of the times don't feel emergent in the same way that it does when you are fully vulnerable in front of a group singing together. So kind of translating that feeling into other aspects of our work and producing events and communicating and engaging with institutions, venues, external people that don't share our values as closely. So I wonder for Emma or Ran, do you want to say anything about this? Either practically how it was to live or to think about these terms. I know Emma, you were quite involved with the copy of the website, so I wonder what you might want to share with us about collaborative emergence.
Hmm. Yes. Oh, it feels really, really special actually to be sharing it here in this space because it's been such a process to unearth and uncover kind of what's been going on for the last few years, and that's what's been so exciting, I think, about this year of pause and reflection is kind of looking back and being like, what was that? What have we been doing? What has been created between us and with us. And then we kind of have realized that it's like, oh, this is a big theme that's important to us, and this other thing, and this other, yeah, all these other values. And I just love so much that our practice that we so deeply love in the music is kind of we're finding that that's being mirrored in the process of administration and relating. Um, so I just wanted to add, and it is also written a little bit further down on the website in that pop-up bubble, but I guess another way of thinking of this collaborative or collective collaborative emergence is this concept of group mind or hive mind and the strength really of many minds coming together as opposed to just one kind of maybe forging a path and maybe the also that you can be surprised when and your mind can be changed right from listening so deeply to others and being open. So I think it requires kind of an openness to changing what you might have initially thought, and yeah, um, holding the group mind or hive mind as yeah, an important part of the process. And I would also say that slow time comes in here as well, because of course, working together and hearing many opinions can take time. But I would just so strongly argue that then the outcome um, is much richer with that time.
And these systems also, our best example of it is nature, right? Complex systems in nature. We know many improvisers who are inspired by murmurations or how other animals interact and share leadership, um, and how that can flow. And I think also we are becoming more and more influenced by that thinking and are thinking also of how to bring in more nature into our practice, our events. We have always done, outdoor activities during our festival, but I think the next event will have a lot more of that. We're not gonna say much about it. We want you to subscribe as usual, and also it's not there yet, right? But I think hopefully at the middle of this year you'll get to find out a lot more about our next event in 2027. But for now, I want to read you something about regenerative leadership. So our next one, regenerative leadership, a paradigm shifting, non hierarchical approach to leadership that nurtures life affirming organizations, teams, and communities which are restorative, resilient, and adaptable. It strives to create spaces where people feel valued, understood, connected, and therefore able to unleash their innate ability to contribute to a shared vision. It also acknowledges our responsibility to steer our path towards sustainability and collective well being. Regenerative leadership, also in your chat right now. Anything to share?
I just love it. I get so excited when you're reading it. I was like, yes, shift the paradigm. Um, this is something that I feel like we've been sort of discovering that we're doing, and then to realize that this is something that we can like deepen in a bigger, wider context is so exciting. Um, this is what I want. I want everyone at our events to feel that they have a space where they are valued and where they can express themselves, and that we have a shared something that we're coming together that is about regeneration, that's about nurturing, that's about um, like all of Earth, all of us being healthy together. And so it just feels it really links in for me to a very spiritual side of this practice. So yeah, that's why I just get very excited about it as like a foundation to help propel us to a bigger purpose. Ah, yeah.
Yes, and I would say it's also an opportunity to be part of other communities, other networks, other people who are doing similar work. We have our some of our closest collaborators like Bryony, who is really involved with this field. We have many others that we sing with, that we collaborate with, that are doing this work somewhere, on the land, and also to kind of acknowledge what it means in relationship to our collective identity, right? How these concepts are as old as humanity, how they are still held by many indigenous communities, and what's our relationship to that, and how can we contribute to a different kind of restorative justice wherever we are. In our case, in the UK, kind of working more closely with the land, with those practices that regenerate or rewild or wild, again, communities and nature and voices, and being part of something larger as improvisers, and we have something really, I think, unique to bring to those practices and movements. We move to the third concept that I want to read you: interdependence, a principle that takes inspiration from how living organisms and systems work and self regulate in nature. It acknowledges the deep interconnectedness among all aspects of life, recognizing that our actions have a profound impact not only on our immediate environment, but also on the broader ecosystem and future generations. So again, as we said before, yeah, this mirroring of natural systems, this idea of, I sometimes think of collective vocal improvisation also as social metabolizing, like an actual system that digests and renews. And also I think a lot about regulation that happens when we sing, right? And there's a lot of science to back us up, or other ways of knowing that we can, yeah, put alongside our lived experience of it, and really feel how that spreads. And I'm sure we've all had experiences of what it means to be, in a vocal improvisation environment for a couple of days, and to feel how we feel by the end of it, and also to feel that that is something that gets carried out. It's not just for the people who are in that room, right? They are for other organisms in that room, that environment, that biosphere in which we're in, and for all the communities, and also the ones that we're not a part of. So I kind of wonder, yeah, how this relates to any of you. To me, it's the perfect way to describe how it feels to actually be in a room with 70, 80 people, right? And to do an hour-long flow that is fully improvised and to feel it in practice. And we're very excited to share it also with you in words. And I know sometimes, when people create something, we feel a little bit protective about it. But I think for us at this stage, as soon as we've had it on the website, we want to share it with you and the global community, and we want to invite you in on the journey.
I want to say something about the fact that they're big words. We didn't we're not like putting these big fancy words on the website just to make it like sound all I don't know. But I guess we just uncovered we were like we were already working in this kind of way and noticing these mirrorings from the music making into the admin and the behind the scenes practice and then yeah we've kind of been like oh it's this thing that already exists in nature and in some organizations and it's this other thing um and I just wanted to say about interdependence I guess in when we're singing together with other people of course we're constantly in this dance right and between and everyone whatever anyone offers influences the whole and we're kind of in this web of this complex. I'm kind of also looking at the further reading but this like web and relationship that's constantly moving and dancing and being influenced so it's interdependence is I think around whatever the action of one person influencing the whole um, and that obviously goes into kind of our impact on the world, kind of socially, but also in regard to the natural world. And then I just wanted to also add, going back to the regenerative leadership thing, um, also how's that showing up in the music? There's so much about stepping into leadership within a kind of small, like an ensemble of yes, of collaborative vocal improvisation and and following flow. So anyway, I find it very useful to think about these big terms in relation to the music. And maybe that's useful also. Go on, Henry.
Yeah. I was just going to add, it also makes me think like how all of this is mirroring not only the music for me, but also like human relationships, like even, romantic partnerships, because I've been thinking a lot about interdependence in my own relationship. And in a way, like there are two related terms to interdependence. Like one is codependence, when you lose your center and you try to kind of regulate yourself to fit into some other person or group needs. And independence is more like, nobody affects me. I'm strong on my own kind of attitude. But like it's quite interesting how that happens in like partnerships or friendships, and how in the music it also has parallels in a way, when you think of a vocal improvisation space, when you think like you just want to be independent, you want to do your own solo, you want to be seen, you want to be, validated, but everything you throw into the space affects everyone else, and everything you hear from someone else affects you as well. So if you can't be like fully independent, but somehow like being codependent is like you just try to adapt all the time to what's going on around you, and you're not honoring your own voice and your own expression. So for me, that's why all improvised spaces, including vocal improvisation, is a great space to experience this interdependence, like physically, which is quite fascinating when you feel like you are influencing everything else and everything else is influencing you. And there is this constant dialogue.